everybody. This is Lori LaVerriere, your city manager, and we have some staff here today. We wanted to provide you an update, as I'm sure everybody's very anxious to hear about some relaxations and some of the restrictions of use of some of our parks and facilities in the city. So first, I want to introduce who we have here, because we're all going to do a little bit of talking. To my left here is Chief Matthew Petty. He's our fire chief and our emergency manager. So he's been living and breathing this 24/7, literally, since it all began. Behind me is Chief Michael Gregory, our police chief. He's going to chat today a little bit about what these restrictions and mandates mean and what enforcement will look like. And over to my right, we have Casey Young, our assistant recreation and parks director. Casey's going to talk to us a little bit about the detailed restrictions and the reopening of our parks and what we have to do that safely. As well as Tommy Ulioki, who is our, effective this Friday, nothing like getting thrown right into the fire. Tommy is our new golf course manager. Ron Tapper, who's been with our city for 25 plus years, I think, and has done a phenomenal job at our golf course, is retiring this Friday. So so Tommy's taking over, and he got started and got thrown right into it. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about our plans for the reopening of the golf course. Time-wise, real quick, today the boat ramps opened. We have one boat ramp, Harvey Oyer Park. That boat ramp opened to recreational use. And Casey and I will talk about more of the specifics about the actual restrictions of how that happened. We've had the boat ramp open all along for commercial fishing, so that transition wasn't too difficult for us. This Friday, our tennis center, our parks, our marina will open for business, and I'll explain why this timeline is necessary. Then Monday, May 4th, our golf course will open. So we've been working with the county. Chief Petty has been on every work group that the county had put together to really drill down and thoughtfully consider what it's going to take to reopen our facilities safely. And so many hours, many conference calls on what it's going to look like to do this and what restrictions need to remain in place to be safe. We have that, the executive order the county issued on Monday, effective 12 o'clock this morning. So as you know, that's not a whole lot of time to undo a lot of things that we did and things that we put in place to hunker down for the COVID. So I think I'm going to have you we'll go through first, Casey, talk to us a little bit about the parks and what some of the restrictions are that we need to keep in place and what that is going to look like.
Good morning. So as of the executive order was issued, we have decided to open up our parks starting Friday, May 1st.
Casey, could I just interrupt you one moment because the public's not seeing you? If you could just move to your right a little so that we can see you, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Casey. Perfect. Thank you, Casey.
Just to repeat that, our parks will reopen starting Friday, May 1st. That will include walking, jogging, our walking trails. Pavilion use will still be closed. Our playgrounds will continue to be closed. Other parks that will be open are Harvey Oyer boat ramp will reopen starting today for commercial use, our commercial fishermen, our marine businesses, also recreational use. Again, following all rules and regulations of the park, following all CDC guidelines, the park will be open for use. Boat ramp starts today, and our parks, including our Boynton Beach Tennis Center, will reopen on Friday, May 1st.
And I'm just going to follow up on what Casey said. So people say, well, why aren't we open today? Because the county said we can. We have a tremendous amount of work to do in the parks to actually get the restrooms back up and running. We've had to put in protocols for additional sanitizing and additional janitorial services. A lot of signs have to go up. This is how you can use the park, but these are all the things you can and can't do. So we're actually with sign shops now making signs. They all have to be installed. We are reinforcing the barriers to our playgrounds as best we can, which is not easy, as well as our pavilions to let people understand, that they're still not allowed to be used. So that's a lot of time. We've got 29 parks and 19 playgrounds to try to secure. So that's why we needed these couple days to get it right, honestly. So was that it on the park, Stacy?
Yes, yes,
please.
Again, one citizen will open up on May 1st, but you can start making the court reservations starting today. There will be some rules and regulations and restrictions as far as the type of play that can take place out of the tennis center. Only singles play will be allowed. No doubles, no group lessons will be available until further notice. Other than that, you expect the public to be safe while out in the park. We'll take all precautions to make sure that happens. And again, we will be out washing our parks to make sure that there aren't any large gatherings taking place, and as well as make sure that the public does follow our CDC guidelines in order to keep everyone safe while in our parks.
Casey, can I ask you to move a little bit closer to the mics? The public that's joining cannot hear you. You can go ahead and move closer to the mic too. There you go. Perfect. We want them to hear everything you have to say. Thank you.
I'm just going to comment on the marina as well, because Mike Simon couldn't join us today, our executive director of the CRA, but our CRA manages the Boynton Harbor Marina. So he has been in contact with the dockmaster and the group that manages all the slips in the dockmaster shop and the gas pumps and so forth. So again, signage is going up. There's specifics on how you can cut your fish. It can only be one mate at a filleting station. Very detailed restrictions on how many people can be in a boat, to the point of the size of the boat, the number of people. And what I didn't mention earlier, and I really encourage you to go on either our website, boynton-beach.org, or the Palm Beach County website, pbc.gov. They have the executive order on there, and it really, the county did an excellent job with it, because the first few pages are legal stuff. But the attachments are really detailed about exactly what you can and can't do at a golf course, exactly what you can and can't do in a park. So take a look through them. It's not a hard read, and it really it's very clear. There was a lot of thought and a lot of work that went into coming up with these guidelines, again, to let us reopen, but to maintain safety. So Tommy, tell us, I know we're opening the golf course on Monday. You guys have been able to do a lot of really good work in the meantime, so tell us about that.
Yes, good morning everybody. My name is Tom Leoki. I'm taking over as golf course manager effective this Friday, so I'm coming into a very interesting time. I've been working at the golf course now the last couple weeks. I think we were open for about a day before the golf course actually closed. So in the last 4+ weeks, we've been getting a lot of maintenance done. Largely includes tree trimming throughout the golf course and the parking lot. We've been able to air fire greens twice in these last 4 weeks, which means that we won't have to air fire greens during the summertime. There might be an airification towards the beginning of fall and part of summer, but the major coursework has been taken care of in the last 4 weeks. The course is in great shape. We've had a little bit of rain. We're excited for our residents to come back. As far as what restrictions look like going forward, this is a new normal even for the golf course business. So, what Lori was saying, there's a lot of work that needs to happen for us to open up. We're essentially starting from zero. Basically, the major points for our golfers coming out is that everybody will be able to have their own golf cart. So you don't have to share a golf cart unless you're living in the same household. But that also means that our tee time intervals have gone from 7 minutes to 14 minutes. So you'll have a tee time every 14 minutes. Unfortunately, our staff is not able to handle any clubs or equipment for the players coming out. But these are all issues that we're trying to work through. Like I said, this is a new normal for the golf business. We're excited. The staff is ready. The golf course is in great shape, and we'll be ready to go come Monday morning.
And I have a feeling your tee times are going to be filling up very quickly. When are you starting to accept tee times?
So we started accepting tee times actually this morning. You can call the golf course directly, or you can book a tee time on the city website. You can book 8 days out, and tee times will be available to play come Monday morning.
And as far as with our snack services available outside, takeout, are people allowed to bring their own water and stuff on, or do they need to buy it there?
Yes, part of the executive order that came out from the county was that it's actually encouraged that golfers bring out their own beverages, specifically water. Unfortunately, water stations will be closed on the golf course. The clubhouse will be closed inside, that means the golf shop and the restaurant. You may purchase beverages and snacks from in front of the restaurant. There will be no roaming beverage cart out on the golf course, but our golfers are encouraged to bring their own water.
Okay, thank you, Tommy. I don't know if I mentioned it
Lori?
earlier, the beach is still closed. So our oceanfront beach park, when we say all of our parks are opening, that park is not opening because the beaches are not part of this executive order. That was something the county felt we're not ready to do just yet. So that park, playground, and the beach facility will remain closed for now. I don't know, Ann, do you want to take some questions?
I am having some issues with the sound, and they didn't hear anything that Casey said. So if we can turn the mic over to Casey, and we have our IT here. We're working on it right now, just to let you know who is watching. If we can get as close as we can to the mic, maybe even a little closer, Casey. Yeah, just don't touch it, but get closer if you can. We're going to go ahead and have Casey, as requested, to repeat what he spoke about earlier in the Facebook Live. So, Casey, it's all yours.
Good morning again. Casey Young, Assistant Parks and Recreation and Parks Director. Just to give an overview of the park system and what's open and what's closed. As of right now, our parks are still to reopen on Friday, May 1st, which includes we'll open for walking, jogging, walking trails, our pavilions, and playgrounds will remain closed until further notice. Again, we're expecting the public using the parks to follow all CDC guidelines, using social distancing to keep yourself safe while out in the park. We will do our part to make sure that you guys are safe while in the park. One of the parks that will be another park that's open, our Harvey Order Park boat ramp will open starting today. During COVID-19, the boat ramp was accessible for marine businesses along with our commercial fishermen, but as of today, the boat ramp is available for all recreational use as well. Again, following all CDC guidelines, one boat at a time out of the ramp, just to follow the rules and regulations of the park. Our Boynton Beach Tennis Center also will be open on Friday, May 1st, with restrictions as far as only singles play, and court reservations. In order to, court reservations are being taken starting today. So in order to get court times at Boynton Beach Tennis Center, feel free to give a call to the Boynton Beach Tennis Center starting today to reserve those times.
One of the things I did mention earlier too, which because of the really tight restrictions on basketball, with literally you can only have one person with their own basketball play, and we do believe that's actually going to be very, very difficult. So we've decided to keep our basketball courts closed. In addition to that, for now, in addition to that, our city Denson pool will remain closed because it's nearly impossible to put some of these restrictions in place that are outlined. So we're just going to keep it closed for now, and as we hopefully progress into more relaxation, we'll consider opening that facility. All water fountains in all of our parks are going to be shut down, so if you do come out to play, please bring some bottled water because it's starting, we got 90-degree weather in April, so make sure you bring stuff to hydrate. And again, tennis, racquetball, any of those courts, it's single play only, so you can't play with a friend, so it's you go out and hit a ball by yourself. Our dog park is also remaining closed. That's part of the executive order. The dog parks have to stay closed. I'm just seeing if I'm missing anything else in here. No field sports allowed. Skate parks, we don't have any. No indoor events are allowed at all. So we won't be opening any of our actual facilities. We can't do that just yet. No congregating of 10 or more, and that's when we'll talk to the police chief what happens if they see you doing that. And don't share sports equipment. Common sense there is just from a sanitizing standpoint. So, from here, Eleanor, do you want to take more questions? Do we have any? If not, I'll have the chief
Since
talk.
the microphone they were having a hard time, did we repeat about the boat ramp and allowing one at a time, or the 2 ramps, because we have 2 and all of that? Can you?
Yeah, they just don't.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Pat,
there's
thanks.
specific guidelines for the boat ramps, and of course, boat ramps are all throughout the county, so each boat ramp is gonna be set up differently. We have all those guidelines listed, but the simple way to think about it is there's only 1 boat at a time per ramp. If there's multiple ramps, then multiple boats can go down. You also need to be prepared, and we're trying to expedite the in and the out. If you're taking off supplies, you need to pull your boat out, move on down the line, and then take care of your supplies later on down the line. But we have all those specific guidelines posted. They'll be posted at the boat ramp, and detailed information can be found in the executive order on the Palm Beach County website related specifics to boat ramp.
Lori, and I apologize, Casey, but the mic's doing something the public can't hear. So, Lori, could you answer this question? He asked if the private community pools, I know you can answer that, the same regulations as the public community pool.
Correct.
Okay. And did the gentleman in the red shirt say the parks are open, or did I hear May 1st?
May 1st. We have a tremendous amount of work to do for the next 2 days in getting signage made up, resecuring, to closing down our water fountains. There's just a lot of labor and work we need to get done, so we need it till Friday. So we're going to open them Friday morning. And you can enjoy all of them with the exception of the dog park and exception of the beach park.
And
In regards to the pools, there is no separation between private pools and public pools. It's any community pool has the ability to open as long as they can follow the specific guidelines that are in the order. So that will be specific to each location. Some places are able to follow those guidelines, some places will be not able to follow those guidelines. So we're working through that and trying to provide as many options for people to recreate as possible within those guidelines.
Charter boats are going to be allowed to go out, but there's tight restrictions in there on the number of people and how they're spaced on the boat, wearing coverings, not sharing fishing poles. They have to bring their own equipment. Jet skis are allowed to be able to go out. There's just 1 person on a jet ski. Our kayak launch company that we use at Intercoastal Park is going to be allowed to open back up for business. They just have strict guidelines, which we've already discussed with them on, how to transact, how to sanitize, standing apart, and so forth. So again, I urge you to take a look at the executive order. It's pretty detailed of what people can do.
Yep. And the Boynton Inlet is open.
thank you. And we do have a natural scrub park on Seacrest with the Palm Beach County. Is that open as well?
Yes, and we forgot to mention too, one of the requirements in the order is all of our parks, all the parks and facilities and natural areas can only be open from dawn to dusk. So we do have facilities that have, again, lighted basketball courts, lighted tennis courts. None of that's going to be open at night. So come dusk, everything has to close per the executive order. Our scrubs, yes, they're open dawn to dusk normally. Many of our parks are anyway, so that's not too much of a change for us.
Correct.
But the scrubs are open. You can go walk and enjoy them.
Yes. And I think this also leads to an important thing to reiterate. Our facilities have been closed. However, the city of Boynton Beach and the government has not been closed. Our phone lines are open. Our phone lines for any questions, comments, concerns, you can still reach us at any time by contacting us on the phone. So whatever issue or whatever concern or whatever problem you may be experiencing, please do not hesitate and call us, and we can provide you that specific information regardless of the subject matter.
We are preparing a cheat sheet, if you will, for all of our personnel that manages incoming phone calls from customer service and at City Hall, that we can answer your questions as precisely as possible.
Correct. And I'm looking at these questions as they're coming in, trying to answer them as they go. There's a question here about private boat ramps. So private boat ramps are open as long as the entity in charge of the private boat ramp wants to open it and can follow the CDC guidelines. So we do not have any private boat ramps in the city of Boynton Beach that we can operate. So our public boat ramp is open. the private boat ramps, that will be subject to whoever is responsible for the private boat ramp. And it is open for both recreational and commercial use.
We have a question on the pickleball with friends. Can you only play completely by yourself? Did I hear that wrong? Please clarify.
I think on pickleball, just like tennis, it's one person on each court. So
Correct.
you can play against because you're separated from one another, but you can't do doubles. You can't have two on one side playing against two on the other.
Correct.
But I think most of our pickleball courts are all indoors, so they're still going to be closed down, unfortunately.
Correct.
We don't have, I don't believe, Casey, do we have any outdoor pickleball?
We have a few pickleball courts out at the Boynton Beach Tennis Center.
Okay.
So they will be available for play. Again,
Okay.
just for
Singles.
singles play.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, so that we do have pickleball courts at our tennis center off of Congress down south part of the city. Again, it's single play. Do we require reservations for those courts, like the tennis courts?
Yes, similar to the tennis courts, that you have to have a court reservation.
Okay, you require a court reservation, again, singles only.
And are basketball fields open for 2 or 3 people to hit?
So baseball fields, so any open area green space, that will be specific to each area in each park. There's no organized, no competitive games. So anything that can be done within social distancing parameters, for example, a good one would be Frisbee. You know, if two people are throwing a Frisbee back and forth to each other in a green space that is open, that is well within, you know, that's a good recreational opportunity that anyone can partake in.
And just clarification again on the boat ramps open today or Friday, and does that include private boats? Someone has asked.
Right, so the boat ramp is open. It's open for recreational and commercial use. So if you own your own boat and you would like to place it in the water and, you know, go up and down the intercoastal or go out the inlet, you may do so at our boat ramp. And there are restrictions that you need to be aware of by reviewing the order on the number of people that can be on your boat at any time. And that is subject to the specific length of your boat.
And on a jet ski, they want to confirm that our city manager did say 1 person on a jet ski?
Yes.
Okay.
And no flotillas, that's one thing we didn't mention, but you know, that was, I think, prompted a lot of
Correct.
the issues early on were going over to Bird Island or Peanut Island and 10 boats connect and get out and party, which is a lot of fun, but you're not allowed to do that yet. We can't do it yet. And I just want to make the point that we're only going to continue to be able to do this as long as people do their part and comply, because as soon as we don't and the numbers start going up, the restrictions are going to come right back in place. So we're following the numbers, not we personally, but the Department of Health and the state and are monitoring this closely to make sure we continue to go down on that curve.
Correct. So as we start gradually opening things up, we're going to be closely following the numbers, because in the event that the community is not able to follow the social distancing guidelines with these activities, which may cause an increased or a spike of COVID-19 positive cases, then we're going to have to reevaluate what we have open in the manner in which we are opening. So it is very important that as these things are opening, that you do follow along with the guidelines that are being laid out, so that way we can enjoy all these things, because we do live in a beautiful area and we want to be able to continue to do these things. And that's a good point about the boats and the flotillas. It's very important for all voters to read that document and understand what is allowed and is not allowed. The shoring issues, sandbars. The idea here is to keep moving. Just keep moving. Go out, enjoy your boat, enjoy the water, but please keep moving. As far as the DMV, the city of Boynton Beach does not have a DMV location. However, there is information on the Palm Beach County website, because I believe Del Rey location is open for
Partial. And it's in our newsletter,
Okay.
direct link to that as well. We have a question from the press. Will you let me know if there are any parks where crews may be posting signs or cleaning restrooms? They wanted to get visuals. So are they out today doing that?
They're all over today
Okay,
doing that.
perfect.
That's all they're doing today is that.
Excellent. And then the next opening, the next phase of opening, what will that look like? Someone is asking, when will that be?
Correct. So we first have to see this phase of opening and how and what happens. And what it looks like, and what cause or effect there is related to the spread of COVID-19. As far as the next phase, that is something that all government entities are working on at the state level, the county level, and even the local level. We are trying to do a coordinated effort here because what Broward County does has a direct effect on what Palm Beach County does, and what Palm Beach County does has a direct effect on what Martin County does. So we all are approaching this from a global standpoint and trying to work through the best options that are available. So with this initial phase, we wanted to provide the community a manner in which they can safely start enjoying some outdoor activities and not be so confined to their homes or their private property. But again, this will be successful the more people that follow the guidelines and follow the rules that are in place and be able to use these facilities and golf courses in this specific manner.
So I think that's a good segue, if we can, to invite Chief Gregory up to talk about compliance and enforcement. The violation of this executive order does carry a criminal offense, and I'll let him talk about that. We have 154, how many sworn officers?
156 sworn police officers.
We have 156 sworn police officers. We have about 78,000 residents in our city, and that doesn't include all the visitors that come as well. So from a common sense standpoint, as far as us being able to police and enforce every single one of these provisions and maintaining compliance is nearly impossible. So again, it goes to we need our residents and our visitors to please be responsible and comply. However, we will be out looking and watching and monitoring and managing in our police department. That's something they have been doing and are doing it every day, Chief. So let's talk about what we've been doing on as far as trying to maintain compliance with our folks, and when they don't, what we do and how that goes.
Absolutely. So our responsibility is enforcement of these executive orders. And executive orders are being published to promote the public health and safety. So that's the ultimate goal, is to keep people safe, healthy, and as well we want to keep the peace in the community here. So our officers, 156 sworn police officers with our department, are charged with these executive orders. They have had the previous versions, and now they have with them this new version that came out. They will be enforcing those. They'll be shared with our Marine unit. So as mentioned earlier about voting rules and regulations, our Marine unit will be seeking compliance for those voters who want to go out and participate in recreational activities. As far as the parks use, we're familiar with what is required for social distancing, and they'll be looking to seek compliance. Ultimately, we want voluntary compliance. We want people to recognize that this is for their safety and for the safety of others in this community. And when we think that you're risking other people's health, then we're going to have to contact you and ask you to disperse and or comply with the regulations for social distancing. I'll also just mention that tied to, as attachments with the executive order, are a reminder of the CDC guidelines, as well as the need to reiterate the use of face protection, whether it's a mask or goggles or whatever the case may be. Those still apply. So while you're out participating in recreational activities, we still expect you to have your mask on. We still expect you to sanitize, keep your own food and water. We're not providing those things. You need to take care of that for yourself and be self-sufficient. The city's not providing restaurants and or meals locations, so be prepared to bring that for your family and for yourself, and be cognizant of no more groups of 10 or more, keeping your mask on, social distancing, 6 feet apart. All those things still apply, so that's why they've attached that set of CDC guidelines with this executive order to remind you that those haven't been relaxed, even though they're opening up certain facilities. As far as the consequence, that can range. The executive order in and of itself is a misdemeanor to violate it, a second-degree misdemeanor, and therefore you could receive a fine for it as well. However, when the officer is looking out for the community's safety, if your conduct is so egregious that you're risking the health and safety of others, well, that can certainly be an aggravated charge. And we don't want to, but if it's needed, if you don't comply, we need to, then certainly you can be arrested and charged with other offenses, such as disobeying an order of a lawful order of a police officer. So we don't want to go down that road. That's not our desire. We're looking for compliance We look to educate everyone with this Facebook Live, with the communication that we have with the folks in the community to share this information. It's on our website, it's on the Palm Beach County website, it's on the city website. We want people informed so they can go out and be safe and take care of one another. But with those people who just don't, we'll be able to address them directly as well.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, could you just, there's several questions regarding things outside the realm of the pandemic. Can you provide the phone number for non-emergency so that it's on our thread that people can call?
Sir, we will post it back on the Facebook Live and on our website again for everyone. Generally, you can contact us with 561-742-6104, and we'll put you in contact with the appropriate resource internally that can help solve your problem.
Great. A clarification on someone would like to know if the one person on a wave runner is a rule that we have an order for, or a state rule?
It's in the executive order very specifically that's been issued by Palm Beach County that on jet skis, jet ski rental operations shall be limited to a single rider only, or to one adult and one immediate child family member. So that's right. As far as if it's your kids, if it's your family members, now what we're requiring at the golf course is you've got to present ID that demonstrates you all live in the same household. So a husband and wife can go play golf and sit in the same golf cart, or a dad and son or daughter, but they'll have to be shown the ID to be able to demonstrate that they, this is my kid, and you can go together.
So he would like to put his spouse on the on the jet ski as well.
Reread the order.
Jet ski rental operations shall be limited to a single rider only, or to one adult and one immediate child family member. Thank you. You can tell he's been sitting and working on this for the last 2 weeks. I think he has it all memorized. So, husband and wife on the golf cart, I think that's okay. Husband and wife on the jet ski, sorry.
Okay. At this time, we don't have any more questions. Would you like to wrap it up, Lori, for the...
Yes, we're just like Chief Petty had mentioned earlier, we haven't stopped working. We're working every day. We're operating the city as normal as absolutely possible, and keeping our employees safe and in good health, and as well as our community. We'll continue to do that. We have found that modifying our work practices has really been a challenge, but also really kind of a good thing to some degree of how we've really been able to do things differently, even more effectively. And so, some good does certainly come out of all this stuff. So we reassure you that we are here. We continue to do everything we can to provide our public services to our community. And we just ask you to do your part and comply with the guidelines and help us all continue to stay safe and healthy.
I'm going to let you answer 2 more that came in.
Okay.
Because we continue to talk about the jet ski. He has his own. He's not renting it. So he wants clarification on if he owns his own versus renting.
Do you want to look at that, Matt? Let's see. Marine. Now those are that's marine activities, boating. Let's see, marine.
Go to recreational use. Because you can ask the second question while I look this up.
Yes, we can. What if siblings go to a golf course together, they have no ID, how is that going to work?
We know it's a brother, yeah. Do we have age restrictions on play?
Since I've been here for 1 day, since we were moving on, but as far as siblings go, that wasn't specifically laid out in the executive order. We do ask for a parent to come in and check in through our windows, since the golf shop is going to be closed, and the golf course will handle it.
Could you provide for the listeners that may have a piece of paper your phone number?
Sure. Yeah, the phone number at the golf course is 561-742-6500. Or you can go on to, there's a link on the City of Boynton Beach website, which is boynton-beach.org.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, because I think they refer to family members on the golf carts being okay.
Correct.
So
Family members.
siblings should be okay.
Get to-
I imagine they'd have to have some form of ID on them, if not a school ID
Right.
or something, but bring ID if you have it, that would make it easier.
Okay, Chief, did you find the answer to the?
Here, come sit.
Yes. So, in regards to the golf cart, yes, it's family member, and they need to provide some form of identification or some form of documentation that will indicate that they are from the same household. So, and just to go in a little bit deeper onto why that is the way it is, it's very important to understand. So if family members have been living together in a home, then that is different than two friends living from different households coming together and then playing golf together in the same cart. So for the golf, it is two family members. As far as the wave runners and the jet ski, it is very clear in the order that it is one adult and one child of the same family. When you're renting the jet ski and going out on the jet ski.
On their own jet ski.
Yeah, because they're not commercial, they're not renting it and they own it.
So, in the event that the best practice here would be is whether it's a personally owned wave runner or whether it's a rental wave runner or jet ski, the concept is there. The county is seeking for one adult and one child on the wave runner. And again, I would encourage everyone to do what they can, when they can, and try to follow the guidelines to as close as we can to try to just move forward and get out there and be able to do stuff, but limit the spread of COVID-19.
We're back to a question on the IDs. If a parent is concerned that their name is not the last name of their student's ID, and I am sure the golf cart course will.
Correct. So we can work through
Yeah.
a lot of these specific items because we understand that everything doesn't fall neatly into one bucket and everything works the same. Obviously, children under the age of 16 don't have driver's license and there are different last names. So we're going to look at a variety of things in order to determine if that individual is in the same household, is a part of the family member, and then we'll do that. If you have any questions, I would encourage you to call wherever you're looking to go. So if it's a golf course, call the golf course in advance. Try to clarify that in advance so that whenever you do show up for your tee time, we can get you in and get you moving as quickly as possible. And correct. It's very difficult to specifically lay out and spell out every detail related to this. So this is where we are, as a government, we are trying to provide opportunities for people to get out and recreate. And I would encourage everyone to do the best that they can with the guidelines that are given, and that way we can enjoy the beautiful area that we live in and also mitigate the spread of COVID-19.
We have a question for the police chief. Is it true that people will be arrested in violation if not wearing a mask while riding a wave runner? And why do you not have one on? And I do see that you do.
I do have my mask with me. We're kind of donning them down a little bit so you can hear us more clearly on the Facebook Live. As far as the compliance with that's a CDC guideline. They're asking that people do that. Obviously, if you're a single rider on a jet ski, that's not something that you're going to be able to contaminate someone else with. So we're not going to be looking to heavily enforce or require people or arrest people, for that matter, for not having their mask on while they're riding their jet ski. So the direct answer is no. But obviously, once you're off and you're around people again, then we expect you to have your mask with you and put it back on.
And we've already covered the dog park, so I'll respond that the dog park is not open. And also, Chief Petty, no one has a mask on in the room, but I'm supposed to wear one when I'm walking. So if we want to go back through what we said last.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. It's a good question. So, Casey, you have a mask on whenever we're talking. We lower the mask. In addition to that separation, we are also spaced out in the room to provide that distance. The minute we get up and we walk out, Chief Gregory has the buff style mask on. He pulls it up over his face. I have mine here. I put it up over my face. City Manager Lori, she has hers on, and during the press conference, she had it on her wrist because she was doing most of the talking. So we are properly following the CDC guidelines, and again, understanding what those guidelines are as a whole is important. So if we get together, if we aren't able to keep distance apart from us, then regardless of microphones or regardless of Facebook Lives, we would put our masks on and talk to you accordingly. And that's the same thing that our police officers are doing, our firefighters are doing on the streets when we're interacting with the community. So in the event you can't, keep those guidelines, your mask is there, your mask is on.
Great, thank you, Chief. If I could have Lori step back to the mic and just, we are going to round it up. It's time, but I want you to go over how the public can receive public communications and the various methods in which they can get the most up-to-date information.
All right, so let's try it if you can hear me, because I have a pretty loud voice anyway.
let us
I'll
know.
keep this on while I talk,
Okay.
if you can hear me okay. Our website, first of all, boynton-beach.org. We have constantly, all day, every day, are uploading and updating information regarding COVID and how that impacts our services and so forth. So Eleanor and her marketing team do a phenomenal job with a city newsletter that goes out weekly. It has all of the great things that our city is doing in addition to the very serious information regarding COVID-19. So that goes out weekly. Go onto our website, boynton-beach.org/newsletter, and sign up. It's going to about 25,000 people so far. I'd love it to be going to all 80,000 of you. So please go on there. We don't share that information. We don't, send it out to marketing people. So we'd love for you to sign up, and it really has a great wealth of information in it.
Social media?
Oh, well, of course, our social media, us doing these Facebook Lives that we just love doing. I'm not going to give up my day job and try to get an acting career, I'll tell you that. Yes, we obviously post we're very active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the whole thing. So we are doing it, trying to get that information out to everybody every which way we can.
And PD also has social media website that we can go ahead and repeat that. Could you do that, Chief, too, so that they
Certainly. The police department website's BBBPD at BBF. Get the website address and everything in my mind. So it's www.bbbpd.org.
Correct. Great. And very heavy on social media. Our recreation department also has, if you could repeat that for me, Lori, in case they can't hear me, a social media presence as well.
Oh yes, they have their Facebook page as well, so you can just connect it all. Fire does, all of our library does, so
Art.
Yeah, art in public places. We've been doing some, and hopefully you've seen us in the news doing some really unique things with our public art program. I feel like I'm spitting on myself. So
Actually, they said they can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I'll put that on. With the program, encouraging our public artists to do some art as it relates to how they feel and how they're experiencing our COVID, and Debbie Colster-Bay, our arts manager, has been putting up a virtual tour also of all of our art. Our library is doing some really neat archiving programs. It was on the news last night of people to chronicle and kind of document what life has been like for you during this, because in 100 years, this is going to be history. And so they're really working on a really neat project like that too. I think, are we still doing our story hours? Are you guys?
We are. We're
Yeah.
actually doing story hours for small children. You can tune into that on our Facebook and our Twitter sites for the BBPD, and you'll see officers actually reciting children's stories so that school students, I know some teachers are reusing it for some classwork lessons, and parents are using it to entertain children at home while we're all social distancing.
And Recreation's working really hard on coming up with some ideas as we come into the summer and dealing with summer camps. Whether that's going to happen or not, I can't tell you yet. We're trying to figure out what we can do in those realms of being able to provide recreation services to our community, because I know we have a great love for our recreation programs in our city, and a lot of people use them. So we're sharing information on a daily basis with other cities throughout the state, what they're doing, and some really clever ideas are coming out of that. So we continue to work on that to let you know here shortly what we'll be able to be doing.
And lastly, question on the food distribution. There is one tomorrow for Troy's, and then Feeding South Florida and Troy's today.
Yes, we partnered with Hospitality Helping Hands and Troy's Barbecue to provide about 2,500 meals at our Hester Center over 5 different days. So today, I think, is the last day, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And the meals go fast, but I think he's able to give out
500.
Yeah, about 500 each day. Then tomorrow we'll be continuing to partner with Feeding South Florida on the food distribution out at the mall. That's from 9 to 11. They're able to serve about about 900 families.
I think over 1,000 tomorrow. They're
Probably
planning.
over 1,000. Every day they bring in more trucks because the lines get longer. But that's out at the mall. Get there early, get in line. We've got the logistics down, so you move in and you move out. But we just can't thank Feeding South Florida enough for what they've done all over Palm Beach County, but really in our city, we're so thankful.
Lori, it's up to you who you want to speak on this, but somebody's asking about the testing sites, Chief.
All right.
Local as well.
So I'll try too with my mask on, see if you guys
Okay, let's
can hear
ask
me.
people and see.
Okay. So what was the specific question?
Could you go over the testing site information? And I know that there are some private entities that may be offering it within the city.
Correct. So the county has a few testing sites that have been in place. They are free to the public. Some are appointment based, some are non-appointment based. All that information can be found on the Palm Beach County website. So one is located up in West Palm Beach at the 15 ballpark, and then there's one for the South County out at the Delray Civic Center, I believe it is. Now, you don't have to live in a certain part of the county to go to one or the other. You can go to either one. Just review the information that's specific to each site. There's also a lot of what we call pop-up or mobile testing sites that are happening. So a mobile testing or a pop-up testing site is they will be in one specific location for one day, and they'll have a certain number of tests. And again, every site is going to be different, whether it's in Jupiter, West Palm, Belle Glade, and it would be specific to whoever is doing that testing, meaning, do you need an appointment? Can you drive up? Can you walk up? Do you need to bring ID? What type of ID do you need? And there's also a lot of testing now at local urgent care centers or other medical facilities, to where you can go to an urgent care and have a test. And again, that would be very specific to which locations and how many tests they have, and if they run out of tests, then obviously they wouldn't do tests until they get more in. So there's lots of different avenues to get testing, and we anticipate there being more avenues for testing, and it's going to happen, and they move throughout the county, so it's a good thing.
Go ahead and mention the St. John, Chief.
Okay.
You told me we helped it out.
Oh, yeah. So St. John's here in Boynton Beach is doing a testing site. So they're gonna start doing testing next week on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It will be appointment based, and they are providing that testing through them and the entities that they have partnered with. So the city is supporting that as far as some resources, some traffic control from police chief standpoint, but you would need to contact them directly as far as setting up the appointments and the process and what you would need to bring and the specifics.
If I could just dovetail on that real quick also, they are giving appointments, and it is important that you honor your appointment time. They are trying to get as many people through as far as how many tests they have each day. To do that in a timely fashion and to try to avoid traffic chaos, they've dedicated so many spots for each hour that they're going to be open. So please be respectful, attend at your time slot so you can get in and get out, and the next group coming in after you can do that. If we don't, we end up with traffic congestion and traffic management problems. The issue there is that we have a lot of emergency vehicles, as was mentioned earlier. Police department, fire department, city hall are still operating, and we still have to get to other people who need our attention, our care, to help save lives. And we don't want to be delayed getting someplace because there's a traffic jam because people didn't obey their time slots for the testing. The same applies for the food drives. As you might imagine, the food goes quickly. So the earlier you get there, the more likely you are to be able to get served. The later you come, the less likely you are to get served. So please try to be mindful of that whether you're going to the mall. We are able to stack a large number of vehicles into the mall compound, and by the time it gets out onto the highway, all the meals are gone. So be cognizant of that. It moves pretty quickly once you're in the process, but don't come late. You will miss out. And the same process applies at Hester for the Troy's Barbecue meal giveaway. Please get there early as possible, get through the line. They move pretty quickly at Hester, and we'll serve as many as we can.
And as we get the information from St. John's, we told them we would put that on our social media to help get the word out for them.
Yes, so just in case it didn't pick it up out there on the Facebook world, what Lori had said is that once we get the information from St. John's, we will be sharing that information as well on how to schedule an appointment and how to go about getting testing at that location.
Okay.
Closing bell.
Yeah.
Yes, that is totally our closing bell. I
That's our
appreciate
closing
that,
bell.
keeping us on mind. Chief, is there anything you want to say to wrap it up, or Lori, or Chief Gregory?
I'm good.
Okay. We had about 183 people on this. We really appreciate people coming on. If you have additional questions, if you could put that through the mic for me to make sure that they contact the city manager's office, and we will respond immediately.
Correct. So any additional questions related to any of this, please contact the city manager's office directly. And the phone number is
742-6010.
742-6010. Thank you very much and have a great day. Stay safe and healthy.